This channel is sponsored by All Things Aquatic, a fast-growing online store for all your reefing needs. We're offering £5 off all orders of £100 plus with free next day delivery. Just click on the description below or use discount code Nathan5. Okay, so oh my god, where do I start? I come to you from Corey's bedroom again on this video. So if you watched the last video, I introduced you to this tank. This is my son Corey's new reef tank that we're setting up, and it's been an absolute nightmare. It's a brilliant, lovely looking tank. It's an Aqua One Mini Reef 90. It's got the same dimensions as a Red Sea Max Nano, and it just aesthetically looks awesome. It comes with a sump. Obviously you can see the overflow, weir, a sump, and I did have a couple of comments on my video I put up saying that, yeah, the plumbing on these systems, tanks are great, but the plumbing's rubbish. They work on a Durso drain, so you just have a single drain into the sump, and they're noisy as hell. You'll never get it quiet. And I thought, do you know what, that's got to be user error. They can't be that loud, and there must be some way of quietening them down. But obviously, until we got the tank running and, you know, plumbed it all in, we noticed, yeah, they are really noisy. So we felled about with it loads. We tried so many different flow rates, filter socks, different angled ends on the end of the pipe, and whoever mentions, a couple of people mentioned that you definitely won't get that quiet, they're noisy as hell. You were right. You know, they are really noisy. Now, it depends on where you're having this tank. You know, in a sort of noisy living space or whatever, it might be acceptable, but this tank is in a small bedroom, in Corey's bedroom, and obviously it has to run quiet. It has to run virtually silent because, you know, it's sleeping, and that is right next to the tank. So I thought, well, there's got to be a way of shutting it up and getting it quiet. So we tried all those routes with the standard Durso, and I was sort of scratching my head thinking, this just isn't right, man. You know, we've got to change this. So I thought, well, let's change it over. Actually, All Things Aquatic, Mitch at All Things Aquatic suggested changing it over to sort of Herbie style, where you have a main drain with a ball valve and you have an emergency overflow. But that would mean, because there's only two bulk drilled holes in the bottom of the bulkhead at the bottom of the weir, that you would have to make the return flow pipe, transform that into an emergency, which is actually smaller. I thought it might not take enough water if the main drain blocked. So we got all the gear, we got all the pipe work. We put a ball valve on there, nice big ball valve, and we cut the return pipe, got it all measured just right, exactly how they say if you're building your own, and run it and turn the ball valve, shut it off to see what would happen in the event of a block. And great, the smaller pipe did actually take all of the water down, so I thought, yeah, great, this is going to work. So we cut the Durso pipe to the right level, so they say roughly 6 inches below the emergency, and got it running absolutely silent. I was just over the moon. After all that fettling about with the Durso, that's what we needed to do, convert it over to a Herbie style, with a main drain with a ball valve, so you can back the water up, get it completely silent, and you got the emergency overflow there. So it's running beautifully, sort of just starting low flow, dialed it in, water level in the weir was stable. We thought, that's it, we've done it, we've cracked it, until about an hour lapsed and the water level in the weir started dropping. Wouldn't regain. We tried different adjustments on the ball valve. We played about with it for a good 2 days, and the water level in the weir just would not stay stable. It'd either drop off, sort of stay stable, and then all of a sudden, wow, 2 hours later, it suddenly go out of balance. We had it set where we was having a tiny bit go down the emergency overflow at all times to take up sort of the slack. And no, all of a sudden it would go off, it would drop and wouldn't regain. Just an absolute nightmare. Whatever had this it just wasn't designed really. You know, the way it's all been measured out, the size of the box and the size of the overflow, you know, the downflow pipe, the ball valve, it just wasn't going to work at all. And you just didn't have any confidence in it at all. And you know, it'd make a load of racket as well. It went out of balance. So I thought that's definitely out the window. That idea. This is just be such a shame to decommission this tank and start again with another tank, because Corey loves the look of this tank. So do I. I think it's aesthetically looks really nice with the clear silicone. It's perfect size in this room as well. It's only a small room. It's a 75 litre cube. The only other option we've got now, bar going for a different tank, is to make this one work. And the only way we're going to get this one to work properly, silently, is by losing the sump. So what we decided to do is to blank off the bulkheads, the drilled holes, silicone them in, so it effectively then becomes an all-in-one system, just like a Max Nano. So you have your 75 litres up top, and we had two options here with the overflow with the filtration. Do we keep this box or cut this one out and make our own, across the back end of the tank? But we thought, okay, well, this weir, this overflow weir, is quite large, and it can accommodate quite a lot of stuff in there. What we needed to get is obviously heater, skimmer, biological, ATO, and we should be ready to rock. Effectively it will work just like a Max Nano does. The skimmer that we've put there is a Toons 9004, which for a 75 litre tank, well, by the time you've had rock and sand in there, it's probably more like 60-65 litres, is way enough skimming power. So the weir now is transformed into sort of like a hiding area for all the gear that is going to be running, which, let's face it, it's not going to be much. There's going to be an ATO, a heater, some biological, and a skimmer. Now, a lot of people have commented that's not going to work. It's not going to be enough filtration capacity. Now, Corey is intending to run this tank very low bioload. I'm talking like a couple of fish, a couple of cardinals. So the bioload is going to be extremely low because he wants to keep sort of more higher end acros in this tank. So it's going to be coral focused rather than fish focused. So this system should work. Now, I run a Max Nano for quite some time, really successful. Coral growth was massive, and it's effectively going to be running the same as the way we're going to run this system. No filter sock, because I've never run the filter sock on my Max Nano. Again, bioload was fairly low. Skimmer, I think this skimmer, the 9004, is got a little bit more poke to it than the stock skimmer in a Max Nano, so we're all good there as well. And biological, so on paper it should run exactly the same as a Max Nano and be as successful as my one was. But every tank is different. I know tanks that run no sump, no skimmer, they've got high in acros, and they're just really stable and work awesome. Now, on paper, you'd say that wouldn't work, but every tank is different, and every tank matures differently. There's a lot of biological processes going on. As long as you set them up right and go through your nasty stages and be persistent, you should be on a winner. Now, again, another good thing with this tank, again, it's only going to be, by the time you put rock and sand in, 65 odd litres. So Corey can afford to do quite a size of a water change whenever he likes. We've got capacity to do sort of 60-70 litres at any one time. So he can effectively do a 100% water change whenever he wants. So, as for getting stability, I think it's going to be pretty easy with this tank. It's all going to be down to, setting it up right, introducing the right bacteria. I'm going to use a lot of the biofiltration from my system. I've got loads of it down in my sump that's really mature now with good diverse bacteria. He's going to use that to kick this start this tank over. It should seed everything in there as well, in the rock and the sand nicely. So yeah, that's where we are at with this tank. It's been an absolute nightmare. A lot of stress, a lot of fettling about, lots of hours of fiddling and adjusting. And yeah, we decided Corey wants to keep the tank. He wants to, whatever happens, wants to run this tank. And that is the solution we've come to. We'll lose the sump. I'm going to get the camera off the tripod and show you what down in the sump area and what we've done, which is I'm quite pleased with actually. It looks quite good. Bear with me. So we've decided to use the actual sump as a shelving unit, and the stock light that comes with these tanks, the Aqua One light, that's just not going to be up to the job for growing high-end corals. But yeah, we've used it, we turned it on its end and using it as a shelving system for his dosing and all his bits and bobs and his electrics up the top, so that works out well as well. So yeah, up in here we've just siliconed in a plate to block those off, make it watertight, and now effectively it's just an all-in-one. He's just got a small Eheim 600 litre pump in there. Now that was one thing I said that you might want to upgrade later on to maybe 1,000 litres, but 600 litres you're looking at about 6 times turnover, so that should be fine. The Toons 9004 fits near a treat, so water will come in. The water level's a bit low at the moment because we haven't got a ratio set up, but water will come in, drained off the surface into this box, straight into the skimmer, skimmed. We've got loads of area down the bottom for biological. He's going to put a D&D light sensor ATO in here because the Tunzi Nano osmolator top up is just too big for this area here. Twin outlets. Yeah, so it should work well. You know, it's a shame we couldn't use the sump. Obviously the sump, what does the sump offer? Not a great deal really. It adds another 15 litres to the overall system in water volume, but he was only going to run a skimmer down there, some biological anyway, so really we've only sort of lost a little bit of volume. I think the skimmer that Corey's lucky enough to get with the tank, the TMC one, was just going to be too damn loud for this room anyway, so that is actually for sale if you're interested. It's the TMC Reef Skim 300. I think they're about £200 new retail, so well, that's going to be for sale. Contact me if you're interested in that. It's going to be about 80 quid or so. Yeah, he's using a D&D temp controller, the two Red Sea Reef LED 50s, which is overkill really. It's just going to have them dialed down. The reason he's using both of them is because he's got the two, and you get a slightly better spread and coverage inside the tank. But if you've got some really sort of highlight demanding acros at the top of the sort of rockscape, you know, you can crank the lights up a little bit more slowly. It's loads of power there, 100 watts. So yeah, say every tank is an experiment. Some work, some don't, but you know, it's our game. That's what we do. We sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. But I can't see any reason why this won't work, especially being such a small capacity, and we have good capacity, yeah, good water changes routine with it. It should be fine. So the first 6 months to a year can always be a bit of a nightmare, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes you don't have too much trouble. But yeah, looking forward to this. Say follow Corey on his channel, Corey Willard. I'll put a link in the description below if you're not already subscribed to him. So he's going to do a video series on his journey with his tank. So there we go. So the next video I'm going to take you to my tank and show you what's going on in there. So there's lots of changes there as well. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe and that notification bell. But give us the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, or a thumbs down, because that all helps me out. Or put a comment in the box below, and I'll catch you in the next one. This channel is sponsored by All Things Aquatic, a fast-growing online store for all your reefing needs. We're offering £5 off all orders of £100 plus with free next day delivery. Just click on the description below or use discount code Nathan5.